going round into the Style Stand here with your Norwich City preview. Before we get started, would you please leave a like below and subscribe to the channel? That would be fantastic.
So welcome back everybody, here we are with your Norwich City preview. How are we all feeling? It's the big one this weekend. I'm thoroughly nervous for this one. I think it's going to be a real test for Leeds United. I'm also going to go on the sort of spin of Norwich City. I'm going to talk about them a little bit more. I like looking at the opposition preview. We've then got an excellent little bit of a snippet from Talk Norwich City and Reeve from Talk Norwich City. If you've not checked them out, please check them out on YouTube. The link will be in the description. Brilliant channel, excellent at what they do. The boys have been going for a long time now. I think it's Jack and Chris. Chris, lovely lad, so make sure you check them out. So, on to Norwich City anyway, an excellent team, and no way am I underestimating Norwich City. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be the toughest game of the season. I think it's pretty much arguably that they are the most consistent team. I think they're above Leeds United as well, the only team this season, throughout the season, who are above Leeds. They sort of keep the same team week in, week out, and that's what you need for promotion really. Consistency is key. They brought in some key assets in the summer as well. Grant Hanley was one that I raised my eyebrow at. I thought that was a great signing, just on the verge of it being experience really. I think experience in this league is paramount, and I think that Norwich have added to their sort of team really, really well. And you've seen that in this window as well, where they've not really added anyone apart from, I think he's called Heiser from the German league, Mönchengladbach youth products. So they've got him in for, I think it's Dynamo Dresden. So yeah, I mean, they've added shrewdly. They know where they need to add. They've added at the back, and that's it really. No outgoings really, no major outgoings, and just bringing someone like that in because they did all the business in the summer months. Similar to Leeds United, but we missed out on Daniel James last night, which I don't want to go over because I want this to be a Norwich City preview as well. I think I'll touch on that in my Friday Night Football if you guys are going to watch. So Norwich City, they've lost 2 games since playing Leeds United at Carrow Road. 2 games, which is ridiculously impressive. They've picked up 50 points since they've played Leeds. Leeds going through a little bit of I'd still say a sticky spell at the minute. I think the Derby performance was one of the best performances I've ever seen, but I do also think that Rotherham was papering over the cracks a little bit. I think we're going through a little bit of a spell at the minute, but beating a Norwich City side in form would really turn things around for Leeds as well, and it would put 6 points clear of Norwich, which in the Championship is a massive, massive gap, with some very, very tough games coming up. Home and away, getting a victory over an informed Norwich City side. It'd be an excellent victory, wouldn't it? I actually watched the Stoke game, one of the games that they've lost since they've played Leeds United. Didn't deserve to lose. Didn't deserve to lose at all. And then afterwards, you got to look at the other game which they've lost, was against Derby County, which was a fluke, the floodlight fluke. That game as well, it was just ridiculous. In the first 20 minutes, Norwich could have been about 6-0 up. As they always do, they start so quickly, and that's what Leeds have got to be aware of. How quickly Norwich City start games is it's quite terrifying, really, especially with Leeds United at the minute. The first 45 minutes seem to just be, it's to the other teams. It's, you know, you have a goal, and then we'll come back in the second half, and that needs to change against the Norwich City side. The reason I say it has to change against the Norwich City side as well is because, unfortunately, it might not stop at 1 with Norwich, because, you know, I watched the Birmingham game a few weeks back, and they were just ridiculously good in the first 30 minutes. I think they scored 3 in about 30 minutes as well. So they start very quickly. So it's not 1 goal behind we need to be worried about. It's potentially 2 or 3 if we start very, very slowly. People keep talking about them falling off as well. I'm not in that camp. I think Norwich could be very close to Leeds this season. I think the consistency is key. They win, they draw, they win, they draw. They've won 1 in the last 6, which I couldn't believe. But you know what? They got four draws, and then I think they've lost as well, obviously to Derby County. So, you know, we're not talking here 4 losses in 6 like Leeds. We're talking, you know, one loss in 6, which is a much better record. They've been playing some very good teams as well in the past 6 games. They've sort of got over their tough run now. They go into, after the East Anglian derby, they go into, I think they're playing 5 of the bottom 8. The form's completely changed. I think Vrancic, they were sort of, and Steepman really couldn't find his position. He was left back, he was centre back, he was right back, and now he's managed to find his position in CAM as a number 10, which is bizarre. So very versatile, but he's made that number 10 position his own, and I've watched a fair bit of Norwich City this season, and you've seen that he's very controlled on the ball, looks forward. Him and Pukki really sort of seem to link up very well. Zimmerman also at the back, he looks very decent, and Vrancic, last season, even when we played them down at Carrow Road, I thought he was one of the weaker players, and he's sort of come on this season as well as many others at Norwich. they've played every single team this season, and obviously I watch a lot of the highlights back on, you know, Quest and the EFL highlights, because I love watching this division. I think it's the best division in the world, and for me, and it was illustrated as well by Colin Murray last week on the EFL highlights, that they've only been dominated by one team, and that one team was Leeds United at Carrow Road with a 3-0 victory. I thought Norwich were very good in that opening 30 minutes. I thought O'Neill Hernandez was terrifying, but Leeds coped with it really well. Now, I do think it's going to be similar at Ellen Road. I think they're going to come out absolutely firing. They're very quick, and Leeds need to sort of weather that storm. And I'm thoroughly expecting Norwich to come at Leeds, because they know the weaknesses, they know where we are weak, and in the first 45, Leeds we're a poor side, so I thoroughly expect that. But they've only been dominated really by one team this season, and that was Leeds United, so hopefully we can repeat that Saturday at 7:15. We've struggled to break down plenty of teams, and that's where I think Dan James would have helped, because Leeds would have transitioned from the 4-1-4-1 that we're in now to a 4-2-3-1, or potentially a 3-3-1-3, which is what Bielsa deployed at Bilbao. He's deployed it with the Argentinian national team, Chile. And I think that's where the formation's become a little bit predictable at the minute. I think that's why you're seeing the goals dry up. The 4-1-4-1 doesn't really allow Leeds to get forward in numbers, which we do see a lot from Leeds United, but it's not a natural formation for progression in that area. So I think the 4-2-3-1 would have been nice. I think that's what Bielsa wants to transition to. But without the Dan James transfer, I think that's going to be very, very difficult. So we're relying on an Izzy Brown to come back. We also don't know about Patrick Bamford. Patrick Bamford could be back this weekend. If he is, that's absolutely brilliant news. We didn't hear anything in Bielsa's press conference about Bamford. No news is always good news in my opinion. But when I watched them versus Birmingham, Norwich, that is, I struggled to see any weak points. I really did. I mean, they sort of settled down in the second half, but I think that's because they thought the game was won. And you know, teams like Blackburn, who they've beaten as well, Leeds have sort of struggled to break down these teams. I think that's because, you know, Buendia on one side, I think with O'Neill Hernandez on the other, they've got genuine pace and threat. And I think that formation works very, very nicely for Norwich City. So, you know, it's going to be a very, very tough game. I'm not naive to that. I don't think many Leeds fans are naive to that. But then they arguably should have lost to Rotherham. I watched that game, and Rotherham was so unlucky not to get the victory there. We obviously played Rotherham last week and got the win. And Millwall as well. They weren't very convincing against Millwall, and they should have lost to Nottingham Forest. I mean, being 3-0 up away from home and not coming away with the victory is really, really criminal. But I think Leeds and Norwich are very similar. We concede goals. Bizarrely enough, Leeds, I think they've got the third best defence in the division, and that's with 14 different changes now, that is, this season in defence. We've only had our back line, fully fit back line, available 5 times this season, which just shows what Leeds are working with really, and how we are punching above our weight. If it wasn't for our youth academy this season, Leeds we would be struggling. And it's similar with Norwich as well, the likes of Tom Tribal, Cantwell as well. We know Ben Godfrey. Ben Godfrey's where I'm from actually, in York. So, you know, we know all about that, and it's excellent how Norwich and Leeds have sort of utilised the youth this season. It's been excellent to see, and it just shows that kids can win you something if we keep progressing the way we're doing. Now, we know they will always score, and that leads me on to their main man, really. Timo Pukki. He works hard, only needs a chance, and for me, he's in that top bracket of Championship players, Championship strikers. I would put Patrick Bamford up there. I'm not sure I've put Reeve up there right yet. The likes of Dwight Gale, Lewis Graben, Leo Bonatini, I would put in that top bracket. I don't think Reeve is there quite yet, but what I will say is he's a very excellent striker, is Timo Pukki, and I base that on his instinct, his natural instinct to score a goal. He always knows where the goal is, barely lifts his head up to shoot. He knows where that 12 yards is, and he's an excellent striker. Sometimes where I think Reeve could be more clinical, for example, that chance against Rotherham where he just came off the back, the wrong side of his head. I think Timo Pukki may have just buried that, and he scored 17 goals this season. Bearing in mind that's 17 goals this season from when he's necessarily been playing as a striker. You know, he's been playing in the 10 role for numerous games for Norwich, especially at the start when they had Jordan Rhodes further forward. So he's only been playing as a striker for really the second half of this so far season. So very, very impressive player, and he's definitely the danger man. We know as well Janssen sometimes struggles against the smaller strikers, so that's one to look out for. The biggest change for Norwich City is probably their midfield. The consistency in their midfield changes a lot with the likes of Thompson, Tribal, then you've got Tetty, then you've got Leitner, then you've got Stiepermann. they interchange quite nicely. Obviously with Stiepermann, they've been trying to find the main role for Stiepermann, but they've got him in the 10 now. But Moritz Leitner is definitely the playmaker. He's sort of their Calvin Phillips, and from what I've heard so far, he's not going to be available for selection for Norwich, which is massive, because he ticks the play over really, really nicely. I guess the debate for Norwich fans would be whether or not they're going to play Tom Tribal or Alex Tettey in the defensive midfield role. But I do believe I've got a couple of Norwich City mates as well, and they prefer sort of Tettey, Stiepermann in the 10 and Moritz Leitner. But I don't think Leitner's going to be available. Tettey's probably the more favoured for Norwich as well, away from home, with his experience, his Premier League experience as well. It'll see him through very, very nicely. So they're probably looking at maybe a midfield of Tettey in the defensive role, Stiepermann in the 10, and I guess just the general midfield roaming role. I'm not 100% sure who could be there, but you know, if Leitner was fit, he'd be there, and he's definitely one to look out for. He's a quality player. But they've coped without, as Leeds have, they've coped without, and the rotation's been excellent there for Norwich. You know, could they deploy a Ben Godfrey? I'm not 100% sure. That could be something to look at. Maybe a Louis Thompson, I'm not sure. But Farke will know who he's going for. I mean, quality-wise, they've been excellent so far all over the pitch, really. I don't think there's much splitting Norwich, Sheffield United and West Brom. Chris, who we're going on to in a short while, will tell you his thoughts, but I don't think there's much splitting us, Sheffield United, Norwich and West Brom. I think it's anyone's this season. I don't think Leeds are stand out. I don't think Norwich are stand out. I think anybody can beat anyone, and for me it's a 50-50 game this weekend. Possibly, you know, 55-45, the fact that it's at Ellen Road and we've got a very good atmosphere. It's hostile when they come to Ellen Road, and I think the Norwich fans will they'll see that when they get to Ellen Road. It's different to any other real stadium that you'll go to in the Championship, in my personal opinion. Maybe a little bit of bias there, but I mean, you saw the Derby game, I mean, how hostile we made it, and Derby just buckled under the pressure. So if we can light that sort of flame, and the Leeds fans, we've sold out, the Norwich fans have sold out, and we can make it the atmosphere it was against Derby, then that's going to act as a 12th man. Hopefully the referee's impartial this time as well. But as I've said, I don't think there's much split in the top four, so this game really it's on a knife edge. It is pivotal in both teams' season. Who do I think the pressure's on? I'm not really sure. I know Chris will go on and give his opinion on that particular topic, because I asked him to speak about that, but I don't know who the pressure's on. I think going into it, you might say Leeds, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of Leeds fans would be happy with the draw. I certainly would be. I'd be thoroughly happy with the draw, because I know how good Norwich are, and I know how good Norwich are in the last 10-15 minutes as well in games. So yeah, I'm open to it, really. I'm open to a draw. I don't want to lose, obviously, but you know, we'll see Chris's prediction after this, but I think it's going to be a very, very close game. What I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to pass you on to a Norwich City legend in the YouTube field, Chris Reeve of Talk Norwich City. If you want to check their channel out, the link will be in the description. Great channel, as I've said at the start of the video. Excellent lads as well, so make sure you check that out. I'll pass you on to Chris now.
Hi guys, it's Chris Reeve here from Talk Norwich City. Thank you so much to Leeds TV for having me on. Massively appreciate it. And may I first start by saying, yes, I'm filming this in my car. I am completely stationary, so do not worry. Although one Leeds fan did say to me that he hopes my car crashes on the way to Ellen Road, which I thought wasn't very pleasant. Anyway, I'll start positively. I just want to say a huge kudos to Leeds. I've been ridiculously impressed. There was two teams in this league that I was afraid of this season. One was Leeds and the second was Aston Villa. Aston Villa seemed to have dropped off. Leeds have kept it consistent. You guys came to Carrow Road, you dominated, you absolutely dominated, you kept the ball, you were aggressive, it was one-touch football, and I tweeted out saying that it is probably one of the most impressive performances I've seen at Carrow Road in maybe 2 or 3, maybe even 4 seasons. I remember Huddersfield on their way up also schooled us. I think it was 3 or 4-0 as well. But look, I just want to say, but you know, at the start, I don't really get the hate towards Leeds. I really respect you guys as a football club, and I promise you I'm not just saying that because I'm on your channel. You came to Norwich in your numbers. And what I love about Leeds is I respect your pain. I respect the fact that you've been through the mill. I respect the fact that you've been down to League One with us. You've been through some troubles with your owners, with your managers. You've now coming out of it, and enjoy the ride, honestly, guys, because Norwich is certainly doing it, and so should you guys. In terms of the threat that Norwich can bring to you guys at the weekend, you must stop Emi Buendia. I hope you don't, but you must try and stop him. He is our playmaker. He's massively under the radar at the moment in terms of national praise, in terms of the press. It's obviously well publicised that our free signing Teemu Pukki has now scored 15 or 16 or even 17 goals in the league this season. So look, I think honestly my genuine hand on heart score prediction is I think you guys will beat us. I think you could beat us 2-1, maybe possibly even 3-1. I think it'll be extremely difficult for Norwich, but you've got to remember the pressure is off us Canaries. Yes, it's a huge game for us. Yes, the players will be up for it, but the fans' expectation as a general whole is that we're going to lose this game of football. It'll be a very exciting game. The atmosphere will be electric. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I do wish you guys all the best for the rest of the season, apart from this weekend against the mighty Canaries. And may I just touch quickly upon Spygate? I think it has been blown way out of proportion, but what I would say is that Norwich City purely inquiring to make sure that it's been followed up properly is totally fine. We've not asked for a points deduction, guys, and most Norwich City fans have a ton of respect for you guys. And I also just want to finally finish the video on saying thank you for respecting one of our young supporters who's died of cancer recently, and the Norwich City fans would of course do the same for yours as well. So look, massive kudos to Leeds. I think you're one of the best teams in the league, and I wish you all the best for the season. But for the weekend, on the ball, City.
So yeah, some interesting thoughts there from Chris. I don't know what you guys think about that. That's what the comment section is all about. If you've liked this video, make sure you like it. Norwich fans as well, if you're on this channel, please make sure you comment in the section below. As Leeds fans, we like to know what you guys think on the game, especially even after the game. If you want to come back on the preview and comment in the section below, that would be appreciated. We'll have reviews on after the game as well from all three of the boys. But yeah, it's interesting what Chris says, isn't he? So evidently thinks that the pressure is on Leeds. I can sympathise with that. I can understand where he's coming from there, the home side, top of the division, looking over our shoulders a little bit. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think either team would be overjoyed with just the top two positions, no matter where you are. So with the injury doubts Leeds have at the minute, you know, Izzy Brown not being fully fit, Patrick Bamford not being fully fit, it's once again a squad in strife, really, isn't it? The Leeds United squad. Norwich have options, a lot of options from the bench as well. One to look at, obviously, as Chris said, is Buendia. I'd probably look at Oniel Hernandez as well. I thought he was brilliant in that first game against Leeds United, so he's definitely one to look out for. And the midfield, how are Norwich going to rotate that? Who's going to be in there? Is Stiepermann going to be the link-up, really, with Teemu Pukki, which we've seen a lot this season? It's definitely one to look out for. But the fact that Moritz Leitner's not fit, that's massive. That's very poignant in this game, in my opinion, because he is the man. But Pukki, 17 goals this season. Kim Al-Roof, 14 goals this season. It's going to be an excellent game. Please like, comment and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you in a bit.